You know, he is a revolutionary. He was a revolutionary in television, in sport, in everything he touched, even in politics.
Noi oggi possiamo dire, possiamo garantire che queste preoccupazioni finiranno, che noi sappiamo come rilanciare l'economia dell'Italia.
He was clear, he spoke to everybody, all Italians, and he said, I will defeat the left-wing list, the old Communist Party. It's easy. I just need allies, and my allies are the Northern League and the Alleanza Nazionale, the former fascist party. And he said, that's it, I will win.
Nessuno in Italia che possa fare questa promessa, che possa fare questa affermazione con più credibilità e con più prestigio di chi la sta facendo in questo momento.
Is semplificator. There is a word in Italian, politichese. Politichese is something that makes opaque what is clear. Berlusconi is a man that makes simple what is opaque.
We were used to complicated political communication based on ideology, great speeches. He communicated in a very simple way. He used political polls to understand the fears and the wishes of their electorate, to understand the issues they were concerned about and the language they wanted to be spoken with. In a way, it was an Americanized political campaign.
L'Italia è il paese che amo. Qui ho le mie radici, le mie speranze e i miei orizzonti.
Italy was ripe for change. Silvio Berlusconi stepped into a political void, and Italians nationwide lapped up his image of a new Italy on his TV channels, as even his critics conceded.
È la persona a cui tu ti puoi rivolgere, che ti darà sempre una pacca sulle spalle, che ti dirà sempre signora i suoi guai si aggiusteranno, che non ti dirà mai Dio mio che brutta faccia hai, ma ti dirà la vedo bene, la vedo bella, la vedo ben vestita, la vedo ben pettinata, non si preoccupi, se ha dei problemi verrà che questi problemi verranno risolti. Ha imparato la forza straordinaria dell'ottimismo.
Berlusconi è il grande venditore di aspirapolvere. Berlusconi è il decano, è il dio dei venditori della morte follia.
Our salesman put up a bravura performance with all the razzmatazz of brilliant marketing along with that annoyingly catchy tune. We heard it everywhere in Italy that spring.
Che gli italiani abbiano una debolezza per cercare l'uomo di provvidenza. È sempre una debolezza o talvolta può essere un pregio?
Beh, è una debolezza se l'uomo della provvidenza è un dittatore, è un pregio se l'uomo della provvidenza è un democratico al 100%. Voi avete avuto un uomo, anzi una donna della provvidenza che si chiamava signora Thatcher e credo che abbia portato un gran vantaggio al vostro paese.
Ma lei è un uomo della provvidenza?
Ma cosa vuol dire uomo della provvidenza o meno? Vuol dire un uomo che in un certo momento è utile al suo paese. Spero di poter essere utile al mio paese in questo momento.
And victory for Berlusconi it was in March 1994. A brilliantly staged piece of political theatre. In a couple of months he'd invented a party, won an election and stitched together a government coalition. A truly remarkable feat. Mind you, it was victory at a price. Gianfranco Fini and his far-right party were members of the coalition, plus Umberto Bossi, the North Italian xenophobe, with his Northern League. Bossi, always a tricky customer, was to help torpedo the Berlusconi government at the end of that year, a rather iffy coalition.
The first Berlusconi cabinet, in which I was a spokesman for the government, was very brief, short-lived. And, well, that because the establishment reacted very, very badly.
And the law was on the warpath. Milan's magistrates turned on Berlusconi with a vengeance. Antonio Di Pietro became his most famous accuser.
Lo vedeva così favorevolmente che, quando divenne per la prima volta Presidente del Consiglio, propose a me di fare il suo Ministro dell'Interno. E sa perché? Perché fino al maggio 94 le indagini hanno riguardato altri. Dopo hanno riguardato lui, le sue aziende, i suoi amici, i suoi collaboratori.
Prime Minister Berlusconi left the Naples conference on organized crime today to deal with his own criminal investigation. A cruel irony for a man who had promised to clean up politics.
Non ho mai corrotto nessuno.
I've never corrupted anyone, the media tycoon told the nation on one of his own television channels.
For Berlusconi, the law was now his adversary, and he had a point. The investigators had put the new Prime Minister in their sights, not for his political cronyism, the recruiting of Rabbit's friends and relations from Forza Italia as new MPs and senators, but because of his roots as a tycoon in the 70s and 80s, seen as those years of corruption. The legal spotlight was now on him. The investigators, too, turned on his brother Paolo. The magistrate suddenly became Berlusconi's enemy number one. He berated them from the pulpit. An austerity budget he introduced brought people angrily out onto the streets. This has become a bit of a Berlusconi trademark. And his shaky government coalition collapsed. There was brawling in Parliament. And after just 226 days, he was out on his ear. For all that he was a great tycoon, in politics Berlusconi was a neophyte, and politics, it seems, had defeated him. He is not a man who takes kindly to defeat. Berlusconi and his followers have always blamed the magistrates for the downfall of his first government. But were Milan's magistrates really playing politics, as he alleges?
Il grave errore che ha compiuto la magistratura delegittimandosi è stato proprio quello di non avere agito a tutto campo. Ormai è un dato storico che si è colpito in determinate direzioni politiche e non si è colpito in altre direzioni politiche. Su questo non si può seriamente discutere. Purtroppo questa operazione di selezione aveva dietro di sé un disegno antecedente, e anche questo è provato storicamente, che un settore, l'ossatura della magistratura, si fosse legata ad un determinato settore della politica, quella di sinistra, è un fatto accertato che oggi è ancora vivo e vivace.
Io conducevo a quel tempo, dirigevo la Procura della Repubblica di Milano, quindi era dal mio ufficio, se non personalmente da me, ma dai miei immediati collaboratori, che partivano queste iniziative. E non c'è mai stata una decisione preconcetta di partire in questa o quella direzione.
These now, for the tycoon turned prime minister, were years in the political wilderness. But what a wilderness! Wealth does have its rewards. It was a time for family and contemplation. Berlusconi was widely written off as a political force, and in the 1996 elections, indeed, he failed in a comeback attempt. But this man never gives up. He's a winner by temperament, and here and there in his many elegant properties, he began seriously to plot his return to power. The magistrates were on his tail now in a very big way, but he'd set about rebuilding his political empire.
Oggi tutto questo.
Berlusconi made two crucial moves. He set about restructuring his huge TV concerns under one highly profitable umbrella, Mediaset.
E nuove idee per la televisione del futuro.
And he buckled down politically to the nitty-gritty. He realized that he had to revamp the movement that he'd tacked together nationwide in 1994.
When Berlusconi lost the elections in 96, when Romano Prodi became prime minister, he realized that the only way to survive for 5 years in opposition was to reorganize Forza Italia, transform it from an electoral committee to a more traditional party. It's now much more rooted traditional mass parties, which was able to do well at local elections.
The one-time cruise ship crooner chartered his own liner to sail round the country promoting the Forza Italia message, or if you looked skywards you might see it in the clouds.
Forza Italia is nothing. It's just, pieces of the old ruling class, the moderates, and something new coming from Mr. Berlusconi's business. I mean, they love Berlusconi. They know he has much money. They know he is powerful. They know he is the king, and they work for the king.
He is the party, true enough. But Forza Italia was re-groomed with a slick image. And when it came to elections in 2001, Berlusconi was ready. Every house in the land received a copy of this extraordinary